Hi everybody, my name is Doug Woods. I'm sure you're just like me. I try to find all the information I can, whether it be about music or other topics, through the internet. Most of the time that ends up being YouTube. Through my endeavors, I've come across a lot of great material and a lot of great instructors, mixed in with some stuff that wasn't so great. Um, and for the most part, it's all free. Uh, Now there's great content that you can pay for, and I have a few subscriptions to some excellent instructors. But for the beginning guitarist, I can see where the appeal is in looking for the free stuff. I do it all the time myself, so I'm sure you're doing it too. Problem is, a lot of times the free stuff, if they're really good instructors, it's teaser pieces. They're portions of instructions to show you that they got what it takes to really teach you. It's advertisement. They're not going to give their whole segments for free. It doesn't make sense for them because this is their business. And then some of the other stuff you're just going to hunt and peck, and it'll come in at you at piecemeal and maybe not in the sequential order in which you need as the beginning guitarist. I have a few friends who have asked me for assistance in the past, and whether it be time constraints or the fact that people move away or whatever, I've never really been able to help them the way that I would like to. And so I thought this would be a fun idea to do a video series, starting from the ground up, the very beginning and moving forward. That way, that brand new guitarist, there's no gaps, or at least there shouldn't be. Um, so this first episode, I'm entitling, "So I bought my first guitar, now what?" And that's exactly how we're going to take it. You brought this guitar home, and you don't know anything about it, so we're going to start from right there. Best thing to do is learn about very first is learn about the components of the guitar. Okay, this is an acoustic guitar. All right, it generates its own sound and volume. There's no electric amplification necessary. Now, the way it's done is the first component we're going to talk about, which is the body of the guitar. All right, it is essentially a hollow resonance cavity, um, and I'll explain that in a minute. Affixed to the body of the guitar, or the face of the body of the guitar, is the bridge. Okay. Next, you see this white piece. That's called the saddle. The strings rest on that and go into the peg holes, and then the pegs secure them firmly in place. There's so much tension here at the saddle that for musical purposes, we're just going to say that's the end of the string. Under normal playing conditions, there won't be any vibrations past that saddle that are going to affect the tone. So essentially that is the start point of that string. The next thing you're going to move to is the sound hole. In an acoustic guitar, the strings vibrate. That vibration enters the sound hole. It gets amplified inside the resonance cavity and then comes back out the sound hole, and and that's how you generate your the sound and volume that you have. And with acoustic guitar, it can be quite effective. Um, if I play lightly, it's not that much volume. However, if I chose to, I can really make this boom. Alright, and that's done with nothing more than the amplitude increases created by this resonance cavity. Alright, as we move on, we're going to look at the fretboard, the neck of the guitar, which is running up from the body to the headstock. Okay, the fretboard, it has a couple different functions. One is to hold the frets, which we're going to talk about in a second. And the second is the fact that is a very hard piece of wood, and it's a very, very flat, fine piece of wood. Some of them have a contour to them. However, as far as your fingers are concerned, it's going to be a very flat piece of wood, and it needs to be very, very dense, very, very strong, so that you don't wear it out through normal playing. If that was to occur, you'd have to replace necks and guitars needlessly, so they put a very, very hard piece of wood there. The frets are these wires that run across the fretboard. And what they do is they allow you to essentially change the length of the string. Okay, and I'll explain that in a second. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the nut. The nut does the same thing as the saddle does on this end. The string rests on it and it's essentially pinched off, so that under normal playing conditions, nothing that's going to vibrate over here that's going to affect the tone or the note of that that's being played. So now we have the nut and the saddle. That is the scale or the length of your guitar as far as the strings are concerned. As you play and you press down on these frets, you're essentially shortening that guitar. There's three main principles that are going to affect the pitch of your strings. The thickness of the string that you're playing on, the tension the strings are under, which is accomplished by your tuning keys, and the length of the string, which you are going to dictate by where you fret the note or press the string down. We call that fretting. Okay, so moving on to the neck. The neck is pretty much self-explanatory. And then your headstock is mainly there to hold your tuning keys. Okay, now your tuning keys are just that. They're what you're going to use to tune the string. You can change pitch by loosening or tightening the string. And the first thing I want to tell you, like rule number one, the best advice I can give you as a new guitarist, or any guitarist for that matter, don't mess around with your guitar, whether you're practicing in a organized manner or you're just noodling around and playing with it, exploring sound. Please, as a new guitarist, tune your guitar. It's going to save you a lot of heartache and trouble later on down the road, because during this phase you're not just learning mechanics and coordination and synchronization, all that with your left and right hand. You are training your ears, brain, etc. on what sounds right. You don't want to play with an untuned guitar, especially when you start learning chords, and teach yourself that something is wrong is right, because then right won't sound right, or you won't have the ability to really distinguish between the two, and it'll hamper you in chord selection. It'll hamper you in knowing whether or not you're staying in the same key when you're working on scales. And if you're doing lead work and doing bends, you may struggle bending to pitch because you won't really hear what to pitch is. All of that will have to take extra work to undo. And if you can just start from the very beginning of always being in tune, you're just going to save a lot of heartache down the line. Alright? So, with that being said, let's talk about what these strings, of course the last component of the guitar are the strings themselves. Musically, the first string is going to be the highest pitch string, okay, or the thinnest string. That's one and the same. That is known in standard tuning as the high E. Okay, up from that, or down from that, tonally, is going to be the B string. So we call that the second string. Then it's going to be a G. We call that the third string, or the G string. Then you have a D at the fourth string, an A at the fifth string, and then an E, a lower E, one octave lower, at the sixth string. So, real quick again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. E, B, G, D, A, and an E. Alright? It's very important to know the names of your strings. Everything is going to build off of that, and people will refer to them by the open note of what they're tuned to. So you'll hear people say, play the B string. They're going to be talking about that second string down here. Okay, now let's talk about tuning your guitar, on how to tune it if you do not own a tuner. I've already tuned my guitar. Let me just verify. It is in tune, and I am going to give you those pitches one more time. You will adjust your tuning keys, and I'll show you real quickly how to do that. if you go turning towards you, so clockwise towards you, you're going to lessen the tension on that string and lower the pitch. If you go counterclockwise or turn away from you, you're going to raise that pitch. Okay, now before we get started, I need to retune real quick just to double check. And I'm a little bit flat on that E string. I strongly suggest you guys invest in an electronic tuner. They're very affordable these days. Back when I first got my first good tuner, I think it cost $65 or more. Nowadays, you can get these little clip-on tuners, which are great. They have piezo mics in them, and they actually sense the vibration in the guitar. They're very, very accurate. They can be as cheap as $10. They may be a little more expensive if they have special features, etc., etc. But between $10 and $15, you can get yourself a good tuner. There's also ones that work on microphones and stuff like that. And it's all what you like, what you can afford. But like I said, you can get a good tuner for about $10. When you use it, I'll show you here in a second. It's just going to show you what your current pitch is, and then you'll adjust until you get it fine-tuned. If you're going to tune by ear, because you don't have a tuner yet, I'll give you those notes. Starting from the 6th note, or the low E string, you've got E, A, D, G, B, and then E. Okay, now if you're going to use the tuner, I'll try to get in here so you guys can see. Let me zoom this in. Alright. So, this particular one, let's see. When I strike a note, it's going to raise, okay? It's kind of upside down to you guys in the camera, but you can see it's saying that when it's green, it's on an E. Alright, so it's good. They will start to go flat as the energy is lost in the string through vibration. It's going to slow down. So it's obviously, as it slows down, it's going to start to go flat. It's not going to stay in tune until it goes silent. So you're looking at what its initial frequency is. Whoops. Alright, then you just move to the next string, A, and I'm a little bit flat. But we were talking about like only a couple cents, so not even really what the human ear can hear. But since I have the fine tuner, I can go ahead and tune that. Alright, same thing on the D. You get the idea. Let's double check with a couple chords. Okay, so it sounds pretty good. Alright, so basically we've talked about the components of the guitar, to include the frets and the strings, what the string names are, and how to tune. That's all I'm going to talk about in the first episode. Now you know that after you bought your guitar, how to talk about your guitar. I'll see you in the next lesson where we'll go in a little deeper, and we'll start on our first exercise, the one that I think is most fundamental and can give you the biggest bang for your buck in the long run. I hope to see you then. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit like. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and looking forward to seeing you in subsequent videos. Have a nice day.